How dare you interrupt the piano? It's so beautiful! How dare they? Right, that's enough of you. If anyone wants to put a tip in the tip bowl, they may, or they may not. It is up to them. Just know that any tips that are placed in the bowl, they're all mine. He doesn't get any of them. That little shit gets nothing. He may attempt to earn his way on this stream, but he will fail. He will fair. Like fail. Fail just becomes fair. He will fair. Greetings, brother Demon Hunter Beru. Welcome to PEINTEINGU. A quick recap. We are still in Lebanon. I am still manifesting Coddington in his bucket with the machine gun being carried by the American Eagle. And the Grabbler is still trying to blow away the sun using technology, as they do, trying to interfere with nature using machines, machinations, mechanica. I always wanted to have like a whole list of things that I could say that sounded like they were from Warhammer 40k. You know, like Adeptus Mechanicus, you know, the ecclesiastical autarky of sisters and their big booty guns. If you're not a fan of Warhammer 40k, you're probably a cuck. Although if you've only recently become a fan of 40k in the past like 5 or so years, you're almost definitely a cuck. The woke horde has managed to permeate throughout most pop culture or culture. I wouldn't consider Warhammer pop culture. Kind of is now, but that's one of the things that made it gay. Anyway, YouTube was kind enough to ask my opinion of the notification. Since I pay no heed to machines, I told them it was unsatisfactory. That's hilarious. Did you appreciate this notification? No, I didn't. In fact, I believe not only did it completely lack punctuality, but it also lacked a certain gravitas. A notification, like a post, like it's like you walk past your fridge in the morning and it's just like, remember to watch that stream, you know? Like most of the time you'd be like, oh yeah. But then like you might still forget, you know? Distractions happen, especially on the way to work first thing in the morning, you know? It was one of the things I hated about having a 9 to 5, getting up. Like whatever about getting up early. I don't mind getting up early. Sometimes I like being up, like, you know, before everyone else, going for a stroll around the town. It feels like I'm the only one in the town. And at any moment, a zombie may round the corner and I may have to resort to my gung fu skills to annihilate said undead vestige. Just the tip. Indeed. Indeed. Just the tip. Just the tip. Just a tip. Just a tip. That could be an app. Just a tip. Just a tip? Question mark. Oh God. Occasionally on PEINTEINGU, the filth of my mind permeates throughout the stream. We all have a filthy part of our mind. That deep, receded corner of our consciousness that retains all the dark and seedy and naughty, the filthy things. Have you ever seen that movie called Filth, where your man, James McAvoy or some shit? The lad out of Wanted, and he plays he's in that movie. What did they call that thing? It was this sequel to Unbreakable, and he was like this like psycho ripped dude in it. The movie Filth is about a Scottish policeman, if I recall correctly, and how corrupt and how much of a degenerate he is, like. And it's basically just like, a few weeks in the life of this guy, like, and dear God, like, it's basically a combination of like, reality TV style, but not obviously because it's acted. It's not actually reality TV, but it's very graphic, gruesome even, and like very sexually graphic. Like really, it's basically like hardcore porn at some parts. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's fucking really funny though. Like, to some parts of it are genuinely hilarious. Like, but it's so dark. It's like it like I've meant. I can't remember what movie I was on about a while ago, but then like, or maybe no, I don't think I mentioned Filth. But Trainspotting, it's the same vibe. It's the same vibe as Trainspotting. It's that grey, murky, godless wilderness with just like just despair, drugs, like. But there's the odd like absolute gem that makes you like split your sides laughing, like an odd combination, like most things these days. But with no further ado, we shall begin today's PEINTEINGU, and in proper PEINTEINGU style. Sip, sip. Fret not if I suddenly just eject myself from the stream, because I've had so much coffee and water in preparation today, and I had a piss like 4 minutes before the fucking stream, and I can already feel another one building. When you just feel it in your sphincters, or they're like actively like like a dam holding something back, and I can just feel it permeating. Maybe it's a burp. I don't know. Maybe it was a burp. Never heard of Filth, but it sounds like an interesting watch. Like, I wouldn't describe it as a film that's like worth the watch. You know what I mean? Because I remember watching it and being like scarred a little. But like it's a good movie in the sense of like how it's shot and like the congruent nature of like the story and the characters and the camera angles and the music used and the fucking like all that shit. Like, it's a objectively like a fairly high quality film, but like the subject matter and the content and the visuals, like, do you know what I mean, the dialogue and everything, like, is just so low vibration. However, because it's coming from the angle of just like, this is a little pocket of reality, this is essentially like a truther movie in a sense, where it's like this Scottish policeman who's like, he's like a detective or something. He's not just like a beat, like, a run-of-the-mill beat walker, like, he's not just a uniform. And if anything, he's one of the lads that doesn't have to wear a uniform. He's going around wearing his pretty leather jacket all the time, like, but he's an absolute fucking train wreck, like, do you know what I mean? And it's just, I've only ever seen it the once. I never returned for seconds on that one. But yeah, if you've never seen it, like, watch it to see a fractal reality of Scotland. or like the fractal reality, like the fractal truth of like, power corrupts and all these things. Like, but anyway, I did say without further ado, and then I did further ado. So I'm a liar. I am a filthy bastard myself. Let's get some drums in this bitch. Time to gather some chi, as you feel PEINTEINGU, the bottom of your spine. Not quite the anus. We stay away from the anus here on PEINTEINGU, We're not that filthy. I love trying to time my dialogue a little bit in sync with the music. So I love doing the PEINTEINGU thing, it helps me gather my chi, which is probably the single most important thing for this stream, is how much chi I have when I sit on this stool. This beautifully leather cushioned stool. It's a good stool, it's one of those ones with wheels and all, so I can just be really lazy and wheel myself around the room. Not that there's much room in this room, to be quite honest with you. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm actually astonished that in my flagrant display of animation during the intro, that I haven't sculled the back of my head off the fucking wall or ceiling that's right behind my head, do you know what I mean? Because I'm Irish and I live in a fucking hobbit house. I can barely stand up in my own home, depending on what part of my own home I'm in, But alas, we all have our demons to face, Me being too big for my environment is something that I've quite adapted to over the years, whether it be physically too large or spiritually too large or too deep, or mentally. Now I just sound narcissistic and arrogant saying that I'm too much for people, but I am. Quite often I am too much for people, You can be too awesome. You can be too much of a legend, but only in the context of you're so much of a legend that the people around you suck, So it's just it must suck to be them, to be around me, when I am such a magnificent beast here, when I perform live. Dewey! PEINTEINGU! 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 I don't even need sticks! That's how imaginative I am. Only thing better than taiko drums is a shamisen. Huh! It's time. It's that time of day where we're PEINTEINGU. Allow it to permeate your soul. The energy of a former resident of heaven. I project it to you. You are blessed to be in the presence of the former god of PEINTEINGU. My attempt to earn my way back into the sacred halls of heaven has already been a long one. But alas, I'm used to being immortal. Immortal, not amortal. Fuck amortals. How does one become amortal? Asymmetrical. Amortal. Is that just another word for dead? I will amortal the fuck out of you. Bye, my love. Never. Whoa. Having a solid stool is important. Here on PEINTEINGU, we indulge in philosophy a little. And this right here is one of the most important things, especially in a man's life. Having a solid stool is important in more ways than one. A solid stool to rest your weary arse upon is just as important as ejecting and forcing and releasing a solid stool first thing in the morning. If you don't have your morning move, it wrecks the whole day. I learned this early when I was stricken from heaven for painting the Monkey King's penis. It's this big. It's not my fault. I was just replicating. I was being objective. I was painting what I saw. What I saw was tiny. It's not my fault. I mean, he is a monkey. He's not an ape. To take such a thing so seriously, to petition to have me removed from heaven. Seriously? I knew you for millennia, you hairy fuck! And you send me here with these mud-ridden apes! Wait, is that just me? Don't take that as an insult. Fuck! I'm gonna have to do so much PEINTEINGU to get back up there. It's brutal. But anyway, I think we can all agree that having a solid stool is very important. Of the utmost, paramount. A solid stool is paramount to being a legend. To living a life fully, one must have a good, full, solid stool. Whether one of wood designed for sitting, or one of shit designed for the purpose of excreting matter that you have consumed earlier that day. It's all different kinds of shit, but we won't get into that on PEINTEINGU. Like I said, here on PEINTEINGU, we stay away from the anus and all things therein, or they're out, or they're around, you know? Don't get me wrong. There's a big difference between the ass and the anus. A woman's ass can be one of the most beautiful things a man has ever witnessed. God's symmetry at play in one of the most beautiful and tempting forms. However, right smack dab in the middle is the last place any man should go. No, I'm not talking about space. I'm not talking about the final frontier to be conquered, where no man has gone before. Plenty of men have gone there before, and they've regretted it. Some men take pride in going where no man should go. These men are fools. They should be hung. Forgive me. As a former god, I can be cruel. When you're immortal, death means so little. But I am learning. I am learning that you mortals fear death, which is also foolish. Fearing death is foolish. Very foolish. I've often thought death is just a break. Time off. An interlude. An interlude for mortars. These comments are hilarious. I can feel the paint coursing through my veins. And just promptly blacks out. Yes, I can feel the PEINTEINGU coursing through my veins. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Right. It is time for PEINTEINGU. Episode 71, part 3, I believe? Episode 71, part 3. What's this? An advertisement that I can't click out of. Things have just gotten insane on the internet. The fact that I can't banish this bitch blatantly brandishing her brainwashing is beyond me. Fuck, another one! But, alas, this one I can press. That's much better. So much better. Just the sultry sounds of drums, bamboo flutes, triangles, whatever the fuck that was. It's still like one of my favorite fucking comments ever. Like, having a solid stool is important. Like, fucking hilarious. Right, it's time to paint. Sip. Right, let's get these bitches wet. Oh! Paint. Dip her in. And smack her about. And use your royal rag to get rid of the evidence. Right, we left off designing. Oh shit. We've inserted Brother Coddington into the painting goo. As you can see, we're in Lebanon. If you can't see that we're in Lebanon, you're retarded. I don't know how you couldn't, at first glance, recognize the Lebanese structure of this painting. Apart from the fact that it has an American bald eagle flying. Oh, fuck. Right. So we have our frothy crowds. If I'm gonna start I feel like I'm gonna start having jaw issues trying to say all the fucking L's as R's and shit. But I will persevere. I will persevere on painting good. Right. American eagle. Clutched in its talons is a bucket. And the only thing I could think of to put in the bucket was Coddington. For obvious reasons. So Coddington has been placed in the bucket and he's wielding a machine gun, as you can see. Right? So he will need to be shooting something. Now that wasn't on the cards, you know. The cards were, I call them cards, they're just like flimsy bits of paper that's kind of cardy, you know. It's cardy, but it's not me. We got bucket, fan, and eagle, right? So we have a bucket, we have an eagle, and over here is a fan, a giant mechanical fan, being aimed at the local sun. Roker, the Roker sun. Oh god, it's hard to do and not laugh while you're doing it because you just sound so fucking funny. It sounds like I have marbles in my mouth or some shit. Fucking the fan being wielded by the grappler. Paint. I'm thinking we should place something in the tree as well, or perhaps even stuff in the bush. You know. We put some fucking, I don't know. Will we stick on the Palestinian vibe right now? Will we put a fucking a Palestinian paratrooper has landed in a bush, or we'll just put another one in the tree. Any tree I put in the next 10 painting goes, I'll slap a Palestinian in there. Oh fuck. Right. The eagle still needs a little bit of work. I have to purchase some permanent white for painting goo. Because keeping the opacity is just such a fucking utter pain in the ring sometimes. White and yellow. quite often produce a visceral reaction in me, quite similar to like the Hulk, ripping his shit off and just like gammeting the fuck out, like 6 layers of yellow just to get it looking yellow enough. Americans can be immigrants too, bigots. Like, aren't Americans like that? Isn't that what you like? That well, it's not. Americans are more like conquerors, I suppose. Or was it the English? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, my history is hazy at best. Like, very vague history. But that's what allows me to have such a like objective and like just vague spiritual, like lately I really find myself more alchemically driven. I think that like when you look at the whole realm and like existence itself in an alchemical and then physical sense, you're talking about like vibrations and sounds and then like chemical makeups and compositions of matter and stuff, like I just like I see that's how everything runs, that's how everything works. I'm seriously starting to like I have 2 main theories running at the moment, and I will tell you them while I painting them. So, theory number 1: a lot of truthers get into the whole Gnostic religious vibe and are running on the beliefs that the whole demiurge thing, and then you got the fucking like the matrix, the simulation, the simulacrum. I think that all this talk of demons and serpents, body snatchers, bastards, the lot of them. But I seriously think that there's a viable enough, there's enough evidence in nature, and then also a lot of esoteric symbolism that leads me to the not belief but fun speculative theory that a lot, if not all, of the, in quotes, evil that we have experienced in the whole existence of humanity, as far as we are aware, that is true. Like, fucking, what, mainstream is like 10,000, 100,000 BC or whatever like that. Like, I think my personal belief in that regard would be that, like, there has been many iterations of, in quotes, mankind, or multiple things. Like, I incalculable, infinite eons. Perhaps not infinite, because everything that has a beginning has an end, or maybe it's not. Maybe this realm is perpetual. I don't know. I'm getting off track. But anyway, I think there's a strong possibility that at some point in our history, we came across a living parasite, an actual creature, a form of parasite that I would compare to the following, right? So, quick tangent. I used to watch a lot of documentaries, animal documentaries, nature shows, stuff like that. And one of the most fascinating things I've come across in nature is parasites, and how they work, and how many different types there are, and the different ways that they affect and infect their hosts. So there's there's two main like not famous but like popular ones that I've seen on many shows and spoken about on like YouTube shorts and stuff like that. So the first one attacks ants, and what it does to the ant, it's a spore, right? So it begins as a spore that comes off like a fungus, and it attaches itself to the ant, gets inside the ant, and penetrates the ant's like mind, literally getting into the brain, and like hooks itself into the nervous system in the brain. It then essentially forces the ant. There's two different types of this one, as far as I've seen. One, well, actually no, the other. Sorry, I think the other one was like some form of moth or butterfly. So this thing controls essentially like a fucking drone the ant, and takes it up to the top of like the canopy in the jungle, right up to the top of the canopy in the trees, and then kills the ant, right? And then begins to grow another fungal growth out of the ant's head and body. And then when it gets to like, when it flowers, essentially, when it gets to the right time or growth period, it spores out again, repeating the process by sending out all these spores that go back down to the jungle floor, getting more ants to come up, right? And there's another one that does a similar thing with slugs, but instead of getting the slug or snail to just go up into the tree and then essentially just die and then start growing another fungal growth, it grows a fungal growth that warps and shifts and looks like mesmerizing, different colors and stuff. It's like these two big cones that come out of the, like, just grow out of the snail's head, and then this attracts birds, which then eat those snails containing the said parasite, which then gives the parasite the opportunity to either move through the bird and then spore another location. I don't think they actually affect the birds, because they're in the digestional tract. So I don't think the birds become hosts. But this is for a long time now sparked a theory in my mind that I haven't looked into this shit at all, if it even be possible. But just my childlike gamer mind and my artistic creative side is like, ooh, what if? So to make a kind of large, in my mind, not too large, if you see where I'm going, but a bit of a leap, right? So there used to be a TV show called Stargate, right? I would watch it on a channel we have here called Sky One, and Stargate was about essentially like a different version of, it might have actually been Area 51, I can't remember, but it was like basically an Area 51 style military installation. And they end up finding this thing they called a Stargate, which is basically a big ring with a console beside it, and you can push runes, and depending on what runes you push, you have essentially entered in a GPS fucking code, that like a postal code, right, an address, and then the portal opens, and then you enter the portal and you end up in that location. But there has to be another gate on the other end. So the theory, this is in loads of science fiction stuff. It's basically in Halo and stuff, where you have these eons old humanoid species that travel the stars or whatever, right, to different realms, different planets, whatever way you want to conceptualize it in your mind, different places, different locations. and placed these gates so they could instantaneously travel between, like, distance didn't matter anymore, like, you know. So it's a cool show. It's a cool concept. But the reason I bring it up is because there was a race of humanoid aliens that the military come across called the Goa'uld, right? It's like gold with a U in the middle, Goa'uld, right? And the Goa'uld were basically space Egyptians. That's what they looked like. That's what they reminded me of, anyway. Very, like, big Egyptian vibe off them, like all like gold on everything. Most of them were like, you know, dark or tan or whatever, like. But one of the biggest physical differences, you know, because they look human, you know, apart from their, you know, advanced technology and like the way they speak is fucking mental sounding and all this stuff, like. The biggest difference between these niggas and us in this show is that they have these serpent-like parasite creatures that exist in their abdomen, right, in their stomach, and they have an X-like shaped scar, right, that is like kind of like a. If you've ever like had a fucking bit of Tupperware or like gone to a fucking a fun fair where there's like certain things that like there's like a place to put your hand in and there's a rubber seal, so like it's sealed but you can penetrate it with force, and then, you know, it's still sealed as you're penetrating it because it, like, the rubber like cups around as you're penetrating it, and then you can grab something and like pull it out, and the whole time it's sealed. There's only a brief moment where it like goes at the end when you pull out, right? I know that's all sounded very sexual, but that's like the best way I can think of to describe it. It's like it's sealed, so it's not just like open on them. You can see an X on them, but they can legit just like put their hands in and like pull these snake-like creature things out. And the whole story behind this is that like the snakes are their own thing. The snakes are like, they revere the snakes. The snakes are like, you know, they call them the symbiotes, right? So they regard it as a symbiotic relationship, right? They don't see the parasite that they have within them or the serpent they have within them as a negative thing. They see it as a source of, like, you know, power and enlightenment and all this shit, like, you know. So the theory I've had for a while is that I think the whole like ice wall shit, you know, keeping us locked in this realm, you know, the higher powers, the manipulators of, you know, the people in control, whatever you want to call them, the hidden hand, throughout history and throughout rising and falling empires, have perhaps been the result of, like, at some point, I think we may have come across a parasite, almost like, you know, just like the parasite for the ant or the parasite for the slug, or like a myriad of different parasites that one can, you know, get infected with from like different places or water or food you ingest. I think if you look at these, if you look at this, the vague dots that you can kind of connect, I think there's a high likelihood that a lot of, if not all, of the quote unquote evil or demonic behavior we see in other human beings, because it's only a part, like, it's not all humans, it's just a portion of humans, you know. What if they have a parasite? Like, I think, like, and I know what a lot of people would immediately think. It's like, oh, that's just a way to, like, you know, oh, it's not my fault, it's the parasite made me do it, the devil made me do it. But what if they're actually telling the truth? What if a normal, God's created human being has a capacity for evil, but it's really, really low, right? We're more like caretakers, farmers, builders, makers of things. That's why we got the hands, you know? We're not really designed for destruction. We don't have claws. we're not like so strong we can like bend metal and fucking like jump 30 feet in the air and all this shit. Like, as far as human beings go, like one can easily argue that we're quite fragile, you know, in many aspects. Like, I mean, you can slip and you can slip and fall and crack your head in the pavement. That's the end of you, like, you know. So, what if all this esoteric, spiritualist, gnostic, fucking woo-woo pantheon of gods stuff is the conscious representation of an internal problem that's actually just totally natural? It's like, because a lot of what you hear growing up is that, oh well, we're the apex predator, like, you know, human beings, we don't have any natural predators anymore because our technology has made us superior to the point where, like, even if it's just 10 guys with sticks, you know, like 10 guys with sticks can like bring down an elephant, like, you know. So I really genuinely think it's not that much of a leap to speculate or to even claim the possibility that a large portion of our, or even just a small portion of our populace, for generations has been infected by an entity that isn't actually spiritual in nature, but the result of that, the result of this possible infection of a parasite, or from their perspective perhaps symbiosis with another being, you know, like, I think it would make a lot of sense. I think a lot of it would make sense. What a fascinating concept! It really is, isn't it? Like, and that's like I've mentioned it a few times on streams, like, because when I think about it, I'm like, dude, that's a fucking movie waiting to happen, where like we figure out that it's not like Satan, you know, some thing that you can't taste or touch or whatever, like this, like, you know, concept essentially of what we like think, what we conceptualize as the manifestation or the image of evil or malevolent behavior or negative behavior, you know. Because even when you really get into the weeds of it, it's like, that's, I understand where the Buddhists come from, where it's like, if everything is in harmony, as like, you know, or everything like in its natural state is in harmony, apart from when you introduce like free will, then you have the yin and the yang, and it's like, so evil isn't bad as in like not good. It is just like one is black and one is white, and they move in unison, and like one is like like Owen has even described this in terms of the gamma, and it is true, where it's like the gamma exists for a reason, you know. They're like, the Satan exists for a reason, like, and for those of you who have not figured it out, the reason is to learn. The reason is to be aware of the possibility of manipulation, deception, and evil, and all these things, like, you know. But even then, my theory still stands, because what if at one point we did have some form of paradise, you know, where everything was just grand for the most part? Yeah, dudes would get eaten by crocodiles, or a bitch would fucking, you know, slip and fall while pregnant and have a miscarriage. Like, there would still be trauma, there would still be arguably negative experiences and stuff like that, like, you know. But everything was pretty much just like in harmony and good. All was good. And then as we like develop and travel and go other places that, like, you know, we're not really supposed to go, and then you look at the whole, like, you know, the apple and the snake in the garden, and it's a snake. Like, why a snake? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I know you can argue all of this like symbolic meaning stuff, but like, what if it actually was a serpent? What if like it wasn't that Eve dishonored herself and Adam and like fucked Lucifer or whatever, or fucked another, like, oh, the snake became a man and he was beautiful and like he tricked me and all this. So like, what if she was just like attacked by a creature, a slithering black serpent? And when you look at like, here's one for you, right? So I've only seen this one in recent, like in the last like year or two, where there is a parasite. The thing I've seen it take over most is praying mantises, right? Christopher Danasi, Iron Man Beru, welcome to PEINTEINGU. How the bloody hell are you? I'm going on a massive rant about my parasite theory, in case I'm behind and you've only arrived or whatever. So there's another parasite that I've seen that basically is essentially just like a black tentacle, like a series of black tentacle like things that are prehensile. They move around and all. It's creepy as fuck looking, but they do have like a center node, right? And these fucking things can get into something like a praying mantis, right? And totally subsume, like totally engulf the entire inside of the mantis, right? So like everything, its organs, like the whole inside, like essentially making the praying mantis a skin suit, right? And all this thing is a bunch of black tentacles, and it just gets to the praying mantis and just like gets in it, and like just the second it gets in it, it just starts once it's inside it, it just permeates and goes through the whole body. And obviously the praying mantis dies, right? Because it's like because this you should see it like when it comes out, right? So basically this thing will just take over the whole inside of the body, and then what you see the guy do in the video is he puts the praying mantis in a tub of water. And the mantis looks alive and shit, right? Because it's moving. But it is moving slightly, like, erratically, right? And then he puts it in the water and it goes still. And then he kind of, like, coaxes it a bit. And he, like, even as I'm describing it and I'm thinking about it, it creeps the fuck out of me. Like, these black tendrils just emerge from, like, the mantis's ass. Like, straight out of the anus, like, this just jet black tentacles just start emerging out of this fucking like this husk that used to be a living, breathing thing, right? And by the time the whole thing is out, the mass, the collective mass of tentacles is such that you're like, how the fuck did that fit in that? Do you know what I mean? It's mad. It's straight out of fucking like Men in Black, where like the bug thing doesn't fit in your man's skin, so he like looks all like fucked up and like, oh, I need water, like sugar, put sugar in the water. Fucking, I really think that the reason why we feel like when we interact with other human beings in the timeline we live in now, with all this mad shit happening, I genuinely believe that when you interact with certain people, you're not interacting with what we believe to be a human being. I think there's a strong possibility that you're interacting with something that used to be human and that has been taken over by some sort of parasite. Like actual living, like maybe not breathing, if you know, like because maybe they don't have lungs or some shit. I mean, it's a parasite. Like I don't know how they actually like work in that sense biomechanically. But you get where I'm coming from. Where like, what if that's what all the cult shit is about? Where like they have like all this secret shit with wearing robes and the symbolism and the what's the term, the making animals appear to have human traits. What's that word again? Anthropomorphization and stuff like that. Like, what if it's because they're not human? Like, they're literally not human. And if they were, they're not anymore. And what if that's why they try to get to the kids? What if that's why they have no problem, fucking and eating kids? Because they literally are not human. They are a parasite that has now assumed control of a human. And that's why I mentioned the apex predator thing. I was like, we get raised with this idea that we are the most powerful thing in the realm, the known realm, you know? Fucking great white shark, grizzly bear, all this fucking shit. I think that's another fucking bullshit lie. I think one of the reasons why we're kept in this pen is because we came across something that we could not fuck with. Like here on Earth. None of this fucking, like, you know, aliens invading with superior tech. You don't even need superior tech to, like, totally fuck shit up, you know? That's why I love creature features like Godzilla and, like, The Host and fucking... It's aptly named, actually. But, like, I've designed creatures, you know, that use stuff in real life, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's animals that have acid in their body. There's animals that have really hard outside armor and carapaces and thick skin and stuff. Like there's crocodiles that dudes can't shoot with rifles because they're so big. Their armor's like this fucking thick. Like, look at an elephant, huge fucking tusks coming out the thing and a prehensile fucking, like, if you just, like, if you do believe in a god that created all these things, like, then what's to say that there isn't a creature that was specifically designed, perhaps? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just made, you know, just like every other creature was made, like just to the birds and the bees and the elephants and all this fucking shit. Everything runs in harmony. But what if, to keep man in check, there was a creature made by God that, like, we just, no matter how good our tech gets, it doesn't matter. Like, we can't shoot it, we can't burn it, we can't drown it, we can't chemically fuck with it. It's like a conscious thing, like a willpower thing, like, do you know what I mean? So, like I gotta talk about that shit all fucking day. That one theory I have of, like, what if it's parasites? What if it's like a one particular, I was gonna say brand. What if it's one particular species of parasite, similar to the parasites you find taking over praying mantises, slugs, ants? Like, if they can take over creatures like that and do the stuff they do with them, man, what's to say there isn't a parasite that can just be, you know, that can be placed in the body by another human who's already been taken over? Or, you know, how do you call it? What if it's in the ice? You know, what if it's in the ice? What if, like, you know, you look at a tropical jungle and you're like, oh my god, look at all the life, look at all the fucking, the abundance of life in the Amazon, right? And then you go to the Antarctic regions and it's just fucking barren and it's just ice, right? And they don't, and look at that gravy, they don't know how eels reproduce, just these, like, black serpent things that just, like, come out of nowhere in the water and shit. What if there's somewhere in the ice where these, like, creatures are spawned that are specifically designed to take over other creatures in order to perform functions? Totally possible, you know? Forget Satan and Prometheus and Lucifer and God and all that. Well, don't forget, but, like, you know, in this context, in this argument, it's like, I think it's totally fucking possible and even rational and logical to conclude that we could actually just be, like, dealing with a real fucking thing that you can touch, that is here in the realm, that we could have to deal with. But then obviously you get all these people who are like, oh cool, it's just going to be like Aliens or Starship Troopers where you just go burn all the parasites out with napalm. No, nigga. You know, I don't think it works like that. There goes my breakfast. I nearly choked on a load of phlegm there. There goes my breakfast. My apologies. My sincerest apologies, brother. What are we having for breakfast? Now that's some gravy there. Yeah, like, I fucking now this sounds like some ATOT stuff. Attack on Titan, or Attack, was it Attack on Titan? Yeah, Attack on Titan. Attack of the Titans. Attack of the Titans. No? Am I getting? I'm a retard. ATOT. What are you referring to when you say ATOT? I want to know. Give me the gravy. Fuck it. But yeah, like I think like, oh, I could say like I could talk about that shit all fucking day. That's why part of me is thinking I might actually do another series of videos called The Defender Den, where I just like sit with a cup of coffee and a cigarette and I talk about all this shit and just bring up images and stuff like, and actually just do a stream like that. Because like I haven't painted like, and I've done his helmet and I've done some clouds and like, and the rest of it's just been me being like, so parasites, yeah, like, oh fuck, like, I just find that stuff fascinating, like. One thing I also have pondered actually is using PEINTEINGU to like visually depict what I'm talking about. You know, like painting a fucking black load of tentacles taking over a praying mantis and then be like, so this thing gets inside this thing and does this, and then this happens. Like, I could be like, you remember them books, like, you know, fucking like blah 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 for dummies, like maths for dummies, like, economics for dummies and all. Like, I could be like gravy for dummies. I could be like the meaning of life in child form, like from the mind of a fucking madman. Yeah, Attack on Titan. Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I think. Like you can look at it like in so many ways. It's like, oh, this place is a prison. It's a prison for your mind. It's a prison for your soul. Bollocks. Like prison implies someone's keeping us here as punishment. We did something wrong, you know. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, sure, it's a possibility that we're being kept in a pen, and we've been kept in a pen for so long by the same people that, like, you know, we don't even know anymore. We've all forgotten and shit, like, which is grand for them because they just keep the train rolling. But, like, I don't feel like that's true. This place does feel like a test. This place feels like a game, you know. And I know, like, I know it may not like be a good thing to think of it like as a game because then one might act like irresponsibly and stuff like that. But I do think it's a game. Genuinely, I think it's like the game. You know, like we create dreams within the dream and all stuff. We create games within the game, but the game of life is like the game of games, and how you play it means everything. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the angle I'm coming from. Is like it is a game, but the consequences of this game and the rules of this game have like eon spanning consequences. Like, you know, like which is both beautiful and fantastic, but at the same time foreboding, incredibly intimidating, and terrifying. Like, because you do get that sense of like, what happens if I fuck up? And then you don't want to touch anything. Like, don't touch anything. Don't fuck it up. Don't even breathe. Don't think. Don't move. If we fuck something up, we could fuck it all up for everyone forever. Like, but I don't think it works like that either, because it happens in cycles, you know. So like, you can fuck shit up repeatedly, really badly, again and again for eons. But like, it's still good and it's okay, you know. Because like, I do believe that, like, I do believe we are eternal. I feel like when I'm really honest with myself, like, you know, like I try to, like, you know, remove fear and doubt and, like, you know, feel how I actually feel and shit, like, or think or believe. I feel permanent. I don't feel temporary. Like everything else feels temporary, but I feel permanent. I feel like I've been here before. I feel like I have just forgotten things and I'm remembering them, not necessarily learning new stuff. Like I feel like I'm like remembering through remembering through the use of my free will to attempt to do good, quote unquote, is allowing me to remember, like genetically or like spiritually or some shit like that on a soul level, what I'm supposed to be doing, because we've all been like diverted from the path. Like, I do believe we're all supposed to work in some kind of harmony, but that can imply that everything just is automatic and like there's no like fun or free will or anything like that, like, you know, which could be the case. I don't know. Maybe we're all supposed to take our place in the stars and just be permanent frequencies, and that, like, that's a good thing. I don't know yet. Like, you know, it makes sense to me that if you're coming from a god level intelligence and wisdom, that like doing the one thing forever or for eternity is like what you're supposed to do. That's what God created you for. Is like you are this frequency, and you belong here, and you're supposed to sound like this and do this. That's how I made you. It's like it's like that's what I think. That's what we're trying to do, is get back to that, because we have descended. But I also think we did it willingly. I think we descended willingly. I think we, like, in our permanent state, we were kind of like, oh, I wonder what I'd like to be temporary. And, like, you know, we like engaged in this game where we're like, it's going to feel, you know, like everything fucking, you know, like the whole idea of death and shit. Like, but I think that's why it's funny. That's like the idea of divine comedy and divine tragedy, like, you know, where it's like in the act of playing the game, because you have willingly forgotten, you will feel moments of tragedy and trauma and melancholy and like despair. But if you remembered and you knew and were aware of the meta reality that your consciousness is indeed eternal and permanent, well, then you wouldn't take anything seriously. Which kind of explains why I'm a bit of a lunatic. Because like that's how I genuinely feel. I'm like, yeah, it matters, but like it doesn't really, like, you know. But you could die. Yeah, well, you know. It's like, I can't even remember what my other theory is right now. The parasite thing just sent me on a fucking absolute chad of a tangent. Like, you know, the Coddington fish is coming along quite well. Oh, excuse me. 60 minutes in, Zombie Praying Mantis episode 3. Waiting to pay with painting. Fuck you, nigga. You haven't been around. Like, you've been dropping in and out. Look at the amount of shit I've done in your absence. There's a fucking eagle with a clutching a bucket with a fish in it wielding machine gun. You've missed out. Stop complaining. Complaining about my lack of painting goo on painting goo. It's very female, Iron Man Baru. You're complaining. I think it's hilarious and it gives me content, but you're still complaining. There's always a choice to be made in this realm, perhaps even choosing to be on this physical plane. Yeah, like, I totally jive with that. I totally like vibe with the thought that we chose to do this. And like have probably chosen to do this repeatedly, you know? And like the whole, because think about it, it would probably be like, you know, considered cheating and a bit of a dick move if you reincarnated with all your memories. You can have such an advantage over everybody around you that chose to forget. Do you know what I mean? And like, how's that for the ultimate sacrifice? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, what if you get to the fucking pearly gates, or you stand in front of Ra and he's weighing your heart against the feather and all, and in that moment you have to choose. It's like, all right, you did a good job. Now, do you want to do it again? And you're like, what if it's like, okay, you did a good job, but you have to do it again. But because you were a good person, like, you get these like perks or whatever, like, you know, like you get to remember this, or like this time you're going to be really good looking, or this time you get a bigger dick, or so, I don't know, like, you know, anything, like, you know. And like, if you're bad, it's like, all right, well, this time it's going to be harder. you know. And then you get the fuckers that are like, it's gonna be harder if I go back. Oh, I don't want to go back. And it's like, all right, you can stay here if you want, but you're not gonna progress. You're gonna be in limbo for like fucking 10,000 years, just like all the other grey niggas, just sitting around, looking at the floor, moaning like Iron Man Bear about me not painting. I'm painting you. No complaints, just observing and laughing. Well, as long as you're laughing. I have a Bible grabble I can talk to you about. Very funny. Oh, awesome. Do you want to ring me after the stream, or like you can just send me a voice message on Telegram or whatever, like whatever way you wish to engage in the ponderance of such things. I'm totally okay with. I mean, you can do it here on the stream, but like, fucking, I doubt you want to type all that shit. I wonder, like, I only ever did that like ages ago. I had Jacobat on, and I had Stolen Honor Bear on. Way back when I was still doing this on Instagram, and I was actually hilarious, especially with Jacobat, because he was trying to paint stuff too when he was wearing a jester hat and all. Like, so that is something I would like to do in the future, where like I actually get people on and they can talk, and I'll paint in the background and like nod along and shit, like, you know, because like I am aware of that, you know, and I am aware of the fact that it's funny. But I also, like, sometimes I'm like, you know, no, like, I want to paint and talk. So if anything, I want to get better at just, like, you know, I want to get better at just, like, talking and painting. But it's difficult because I feel like I have to, like, project. Because I like conversation. Because I talk to people a lot. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you have to be like this. Whereas, like, if I'm like this, my voice is, like, hitting the canvas. Do you know what I mean? It's weird, like the whole streaming thing reminds me of just like doing improv drama, and I love it. But like it's also reminding me of like framing and paying attention to the crowd and like and shit like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I know like a lot of people can just sit here and listen to me just do me for 2 hours, which is great, and I fucking love it. But like, you can't do that all the time. You know, not even like the fucking Owen doesn't even do that all the time, where he just like gets on and just fucking goes. You know, even he checks in now and again. He's like looking at the chat, being like, "Is this funny? Is what I'm doing good?" Because I'm just like gone. Oh god, I seriously can't even remember what my other theory is now. I had two main theories: the parasite one. What's the other one? It's like now and again I just find myself pondering these things, like, you know. The rest of the time I'm coming up with shit. Like, I haven't done any work on my comic book in fucking ages. Because I've just been busy with PEINTEINGU and like I'm doing something for Papa J on the DL. And I'm fucking taking way too fucking long to do it because of shit like this. I gotta paint and then I talk. I gotta paint and then I think. I gotta create and then I think. Fuck! PEINTEINGU. Paint. Paint fan. Big fan. Paint. PEINTEINGU. Yeah, that looks a little bit more like a fan. I wanted to get bladed, you know. Get bladed, bitch. I'm gonna use a smaller brush though. Where's my little bitch? Where's my skinny ass bitch? I'll dry that first. I'm not even gonna lie, this has become like my favorite prop. I fucking love flicking this thing out. Trying to slice! I know, that reminds me actually, I want to try and get a bladed fan. It'd be fucking deadly, like. Not like, it's like a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it's like, I like, shouldn't, part of me thinks I shouldn't like tempt fate like that. Where like, because the first thing I think of is like, oh, that'd be so fucking funny. Like, obviously it'd be like, kind of traumatizing or whatever, like if something bad happened. But like, how funny would that be if I actually had a blade, like a proper lethal bladed fan, and like I'm streaming one night in the dead of night or some shit, like, and some fool tries to break into my gaff, and like I just come downstairs like half naked in a kimono with a bandana on. Like, who's there? What did I say last time? Present yourself. Like, choose your weapon. Defend yourself. Like, oh fucking hell! Did I ever tell the story of, like, I think I did. I can't, like, I'm pretty sure I told this story before. But like, there's a fucking lad that my dad used to hang around with from work, and he told this story one time. We were sitting around having dinner in their house. And he told this hilarious story that he used to have this. He knew this guy who was a former military. I can't remember what country. I have a feeling he was like a United States Marine Corps, which kind of makes it more believable. It's fitting. Basically, this chap and his missus are asleep in bed, and some fool tries to break into his house. And because of the nature of this guy's, previous employment, he's like 6'3", built like a tank, tattoos, really physically dangerous, like knows how to handle himself, like, in close quarter combat, and has just weapons all over the house. So this fool breaks into this guy's house in the front room window, like comes right in the front room window, and the next thing this guy sees is your man coming down the stairs, bollock naked, right, ripped, covered in tattoos, like United States Marine Corps probably tattooed, emblazoned on his chest, right? Come down bollock naked, wielding a katana. And he said when he got to the bottom of the stairs and made eye contact with the guy who just broke into his sitting room, your man just went, "Oh fuck," and like clambered back out the window like a dog or a cat, like on all fours, just like, "Oh Jesus fuck," and just bailed back out the window. Your man's just standing there naked, wielding a katana. Like, come on, fuck you broke into the wrong house, nigga. Like, just dick swinging, like, come on, get some. Like, oh god, like, I wonder if he, like, broke into another gaff a few weeks later and kept it up, like, or something, like, but like, you imagine, like, he fucking, like, legs it, gets home, and he's like, "I'm sorry, God, I'll never do it again. I swear to God, I'll never rob. I'll never break. I'll never do another B&E. I swear." Oh god, those are the things that make me laugh the most. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like real shit. Like, fuck. Like, my favorite fails are the fails that, like, it hurt, but they're all right, like, but you see them, like, bounce off the floor or something, like, and you're like, "Oh, damn!" but they're okay, like, the little caption comes up in the corner, like, "Nobody died." Like, the driver of the vehicle was found to be unconscious but breathing. I'm seriously trying to fucking remember my other theory. How funny is that? Oh, defended word. What was the other theory that fascinates me? The theory of the parasite thing, that fascinates me. And then I'm like spacing right now on the other one, because I was like, I do have two running theories right now. that occasionally have me like really pondering shit. Like, oh yeah, the fucking. I think somebody like I've definitely mentioned this before. I think it's possible that the known realm that we're aware of, like everything from the oceans that we're aware of and have knowledge of, mainstream, the realm contained mainstream. Obviously not space though, like flat mainstream, flat Earth. Water, continents, ring of ice. I think this whole place could have been like made, and I know the religious people will be, duh, God made it. No, I mean, like, if we follow the whole Attack on Titan thing, or even the other like kind of more out there flat earthers that are like, it's an ice ring, and then there's another ring, and then there's another ring, and there's like loads of continents and like other places that have been lost to history and stuff, like Lumeria and Hibernia and all this fucking Hyperborea or whatever, all that stuff. I think that it's possible that there's humanoids or even just humans that have knowledge of like how to legit terraform a location, or how to seed a new like realm essentially. And it makes sense to me that like, the whole ice and fire and like electricity and salt and the solvent of the solvent nature of water, that how you could argue that the known realm kind of functions like a battery, and like when you see like, when you see a lightning storm take place over an ocean and just in open water, and like the lightning's just going mad and all, like, and it's just like, I could totally see how a master alchemist, like the magnum opus. They say the magnum opus of an alchemist, from what I've heard, is to create the rebus, which is essentially the hermaphrodite, the ultimate male and female joining into one unit. Whatever, that sounds like fucked up to me. Like, in my mind, that something like that would be like alchemical mastery, would be to like just spawn a realm, using incredible amounts of energy to just like boom, just like spawn a fucking like, and maybe that's where like, the truth in the lie of the Big Bang, like when a realm is spawned, it's like an explosion of chaos, and then slowly over like a week it like cools down and spins like a dreidel into this like whirlpool of like all the different elements settling into place, but it could just start with a blast of energy like a lightning bolt in a single dot location, at the hands of a master alchemist, like. And people who are unaware of that shit would revere that chap as a god, and it's like, is that, I could see that as like true spiritual enlightenment, is like when you attain this level of mastery over your environment to such a degree that you can create a new environment, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So I could imagine that there's loads of different realms, planets, whatever you want to call them, and they are created and subsequently governed by either tyrants or benevolent people, alchemists or whatever. And like, I have a feeling that the battle at that level is then one of like pure consciousness and spirituality, where like they all have the ability to like throw lightning bolts and fireballs and create and destroy matter. So they're revered like gods as far as we're concerned. But as far as they're concerned, they know the one true God maybe is consciousness itself. It's like energy itself. And that actually doesn't maybe that doesn't. Maybe like God doesn't actually have a will, you know, and that's what like all of our personalities are for, is to like have so many different forms of will that you then get to like an agregor or like a meta will or some shit like that. Like, because like if God has a will and permeates everything and is everywhere at all times, like, do you know what I mean? Then like it would just depend, like existence itself would generally just depend on whether or not God is in a bad mood that day. Like, I am benevolent no more, you fucks. Right. There's 40 minutes left on this stream. I'm going to try and cheer Iron Man Bear up with a bit of painting goo while I raving goo. Strap in, bitches! This hits harder than knowledge of life itself. Forget a ton of bricks.
This Halloween,
imagine
things are getting spooky
fucking
with McDonald's Happy Meal
Lizzo
and Squishmallows.
sitting on a mouse. Right. I want to get a black outline on this nigga's helmet. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Get that boss in here. Oh, sure. Blame us for distracting you from your projects. Did I not blame myself? I tried to blame myself. Totally, yeah. I'm just gonna let that sit. That's exactly the kind of thing on the path I'm on. Painting the room. Painting the room. Boo, 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 boo. Oh, the son of a. Painting. Painting. Paint eagle. Right. So what's COD shooting the fuck out of? That's the next question that we must answer on PEINTEINGU. We have half an hour to give El Coddington a fucking El Dirt Bucket something to shoot at. I'm also, in the meantime, I'm gonna give this chap like a little joystick or something. Because he's just sitting there with no like handles or anything. Oh. Where's my squirt? Shit! I need my squirt! What? Is that what I think it is? On my stream, at this time, you taint my stream with your fucking taint? I swear to God. Yeah. Nobody paints like Defenderoo.
We sit in the sun, in paint, we sleep, and we dream. Each of us dies slowly.
Will I do him like shooting a lobster, holding a sign saying, "But I cleaned my room"? I don't know.
In paint, we sleep,
Ideas! Ideas!
and we dream.
That painting is looking great, Bob.
Each of us
You
dies
bring me much honor,
slowly.
Niguru, for your comment too. Lebanon never looked so fucking pimpin'. Am I right?
Yeah.
Fucking right, I'm right. I'm thinking a lobster. A lobster would be a funny idea. What's also a funny idea is everything just gets an ooh on the end of it. How do we make it more Japanese? Roll your R's, or turn your L's into R's, and put an ooh on everything.
Is it a new world, or will it consume us all?
Oh shit. I dropped my fag. Off a rooftop! I seriously fucking love this fucking playlist, man. I demand to know what's going on in my house. Fucking brilliant. Both these playlists just were made for PEINTEINGU. One of the other gods knew I would need some backup when I was cast out of heaven. Just like hooked me right up. Right. One lobster coming right up. We got 24 minutes. Do 24 lobsters.
Yeah.
Bit of red.
Is it a new world or will it consume us all?
We sit in the sun and wait. We sleep and we dream. Each of us dying slowly, the prison of our mind. We sit in the sun and wait. We sleep
The dream.
and we dream. Each of us dying slowly, the prison of our mind.
Welcome to Ravingu. You're late, brother Two Acre Indy Beru. We're in Lebanon. And our very own brother Coddington is wielding his trusty machine gun and annihilating the lobsters of Petersonu. I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, your presence on my stream is forbidden. That's fucking right. Yeah, that's right. I'm just gonna leave that hanging for a bit. Because it is, like, you know. When somebody speaks the truth, display it. One lobster, one riddled lobster coming right up. No! Painting goo, painting goo, painting goo, do do do, do do. You can slow headbang to this. I was like, yeah, bitch. Shoot that lobster. Get him, Coddington. Bit of shading on that red fucker. Never had lobster. Am I missing out? Or does it just taste like fish or prawns or something? Let me know in the comments. Let's get that bitch wet. Slap her around and then use my royal rag to rid myself of the evidence. Where's my skinny bitch? Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, yes. Defender, sit. Right, get my black out again. Jesus, Defender, you're always getting your black out in front of everybody. I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? Stare at it in all of its glory while I just whip out my black. Did you say whip your black? No, I whip out my black. I whip it out. Don't worry, I'm going to give the lobster some gaping wounds as a result of being absolutely destroyed by a machine gun. The only way Coddington knows how to cook lobster is with an M20 Browning. There's a name for a band. just call them the Browning, but like with a fucking caliber on the end. It's just the Browning are actually a decent metal band, I think. PEINTEINGU. If you're gonna watch paint dry, you may as well do it in style. That'll do. You can win the blacks too, it's fine. Lobster is just glorified sea bugs. Yeah, it's a crustacean, isn't it? Like, it's just a big prawn. It's a big gravelly prawn. Yeah, it used to be prison food. Yeah, I heard about that shit, yeah. Lay waste to the lobsterers. All of them. Not a single lobster left alive. Eradicate the lobster is definitely a name for a metal band. Eradicate the lobster. I managed to paint it in such a way that Cod is shooting the thing right in the face. So, like, we got our black out, now we need to get our white out. Can't have too much black. Always need to offset the black with the white. I fucking hate when you interrupt my stream and you know it. You fucking know it, you bitch. You do it anyway. What color blood do lobsters have? You just make it blue. All gay things bleed blue. That's why they dye their hair blue. Come off, you fucker. Jeez. Like trying to peel an orange. Lost to cost. Right in its beak. Lobster side. Oh, fuck. I'm going to need all three colors out at once to try and blend this shit into existence. I don't want to give the lobster purple blood, because then it's like the lobster has like pimp blood. It's like, no, it doesn't. Ain't no lobster, no goddamn pimp, nigga. Oh, God. Lobsters are most definitely not pimping. What can we put on them, or like have them holding? That would be appropriate. Let me know in the comments. But I cleaned my room, bucko! What do you think you're doing? How dare you! On my stream! The audacity! Do we have the eagle saying something as well? Benzo's It's fucking like, oh. Yeah, I could just do like a pharmaceutical fucking cup and it just says benzo on it. I think we could go with this one. Oh, I'm just gonna do it white. Fuck that. Fuck that noise. No! Ah, fuck. Wrong color. Right. Now our beloved Coddington, our beloved Jack Buckets, now has something to shoot at. So, perhaps on Monday's stream, because there's no painting goo tomorrow, and there's no painting goo Sunday. But there will be a painting goo Monday. This concludes Painting Goo episode 71, part 3. And if you have any bollocks at all, you will join me for Painting Goo episode 71, part 4. Monday at 2 p.m. Same time, same place, same glorious amount of Painting Goo. Until then, be good, be true, be beautiful, and I'll see you next time. Defenderoo, out.